That's an entrepreneur. So you jump out of an airplane, you build your parachute on the way down. It's risky. It feels reckless and stupid. But at the same time, if you're able to sit with yourself and say, I'm going into business, why? I'm doubling down on myself because I trust me, I believe in me more than anything, and I trust my ability to figure it out. And most people that are so hungry to really be successful, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of like,
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit Hiring System, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode of Titans of the Trades. I am your host, Ryan England, and today's show was a real treat for me. I really had a good time talking to brothers, Michael and David Katz. Trio Heating and Air out in San Francisco. And these guys had no experience in the trades, really didn't know much about home services, and did some phenomenal things with their business to the tune of 0 to 10 million in revenue in only 2 years. But I don't want to take the rest of their thunder. I want you to hear from them. We had such a good time that I actually have invited them back for a second recording to talk more about their people strategy and exactly what they're doing to build the best team of A players. So make sure you subscribe to the show so you get notified when that episode drops. I want to welcome to today's show, Michael and David Katz. Michael, David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
good morning, good afternoon.
Just in the little bit that I've heard about your story and your growth and what you want to accomplish with the business, I am super excited about today's conversation. But I don't want to steal your thunder. So tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to. Tell me about some of the success that you found in Trio and just introduce yourselves to our audience.
Mike, I'll let you have this one.
Yeah, so Michael and David Katz were two brothers, came into the industry with a dream to, make a big impact in a sense of like break records. And we had this wild dream of just taking over. So far, it's been quite the ride, definitely. And it all started from a quick conversation. In the back of our head, we always wanted to do it, but we wanted to grow. We wanted to make a lot of money. We wanted to open our own business. We've had the same idea that everyone kind of had going into it. And we were just waiting for the path to kind of show its way. And it happened in 2021, COVID time. So much business was screaming to get HVAC work done. There was so much demand out there. And I remember David and I had that moment in our house, the famous break your leg story that everyone always asking us about. So I was watching TV one day and David just kind of walked in. We were living, together at the time. And he basically told me, what are you going to do if you break your leg tomorrow? For business, for income, because right now you got to go and get, income. And I had no answer. I was just stuck. So it really pissed me off. And I went to the restroom, came back out and told them we're opening a business, came up with a business name, Pacific Air at the time. Since then, we've rebranded to Trio Heating and Air. But yeah, we started that, never worked in an HVAC company, never worked at an established business. We're both immigrants, been here since 2015. So there was a lot of struggle, but the flexibility was there, the passion was there, the work ethic was there, and quickly learning to kind of not try to reinvent the wheel, but rather take it from someone who's already been through it before and just implement it. So it all started in July 21. We did our first heating and air conditioning job. 2 years fast forward, we were breaking 10 million in revenue. And 2024 was definitely a tough year, the toughest year we ever had. So growth was not too crazy. But here we are in 2025, and we're pacing about 15 million this year.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing. David, what was, anything to add to that story or anything that, from your perspective that you saw, yeah, this is what we're doing, this is why? Because I often find, especially with family, they don't always align on their vision or their goals. And so I'd love to hear from you for a second
Uh,
on that journey.
We also don't align by morning, and then by lunchtime we're good.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely we've learned over time that the alignment is a very critical thing, right? Setting your mission, your vision statement, your core values. What are we trying to achieve here, so that to make sure that everybody's rowing in the same direction, not just between Mike and I, but also with all of our leadership team and team members in the company. I think that Mike and I are very aligned, and we're also opposites of each other. So for me, it's going to be more about diving into how do we build a system that can scale. And for Mike, it's going to be, this should have been implemented yesterday at 70% readiness, 80% readiness, which is a good combination to have. The vision, the visionary person and the integrator. So I think we're working very well together. We've also found out over time that, especially working with family, that there is not a single topic that we can talk about that is bigger than the mission on what we're trying to accomplish here as a company. So there is no one argument or one dispute that we have about any single topic that is more important than the company. And so over the lifespan, of this company, we're going to have to make tens of thousands of decisions. And it is very likely that on some of those decisions, we're not going to see eye to eye. And we've just learned that, even if something happened, dude, you're going to see us 2 hours later as if nothing happened. One of us is going to gauge that this thing is more sensitive or more important to the other person, maybe a little bit less important to me, even if it's by 1%, they should have it. And we're going to go this way. And if it's not going to work, we're going to pivot, no hard feelings, and we're going to do the right thing afterwards. We're going to try both ways. Our story started back, like we said, in 2015. We both came here with a dream. We've never worked at an HVAC company, never worked at an established company before. And we found ourselves at a very young age, at a very bad point to be at financially. I found myself with $600 left to my name. I couldn't afford rent. I was trying to gauge, what should I do? Should I pay my phone bill or should I eat well? What is it? Like, I had to make those little sacrifices. I had to go to Ross and buy this, little swinging chair with red pillows for $30, and I put it in the back of my van, and that was my home for the next 3 to 4 months. Then I started, walking around Home Depot between the aisles and trying to figure out, what can I sell here? And I found this cut and fit filter that I could buy for $6.99 and just a pair of scissors, and I could cut and make 3 filters. And I was just doing door knocking in San Francisco, just telling people, hey, I'm replacing filters in the neighborhood. Would you like me to replace your filter for you? When was the last time you did that? And I was selling each one of them for $20. And that's how things kind of evolved from there. Obviously, without having papers, it was really hard to find your way. So the typical immigrant story. But going from that and having the right mindset and keep pushing hard to the point where Mike and I are pacing, we have our own business right now pacing $15 million. I hope that for every person that is going to hear this episode, this is going to be the cue to just go out and do whatever it is that your dream is, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I'm really excited to dive deeper into some of the topics we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Well, as I listen to both of you talk, the commonality that I see, I think the thing that is so remarkable in your story is that you didn't even grow up in HVAC, and you started this HVAC company. And I think because of that, you didn't have all the bad habits and all the head trash associated with the industry. And I think you guys even said, as we were talking in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know sometimes. And so you just go figure it out and you do it, and it works, and you do it again. And I mean, that's so fantastic. I also heard that you guys, as I was doing some of my research, the Pantheon conference, huge for you guys, the Service Titan conference, and learning from other experts, seeing what people are doing, learning about the industry and everything else. Tell me about that moment when, and just pick one, like, when did you guys have a light bulb moment about something new, maybe something that holds a lot of other contractors back, and you're like, you know what, we're going to do this? because they said, and we don't know any better, so we're going to do it. It worked. Like, can you share one or two examples of that?
I have like the exact three moments that the picture kind of came together, because I just had a conversation with my cousin, and we're always talking about how hard it is for people to kind of step into the blind. So making the decision without having all the answers. It's not something that a lot of people do, right? And that's an entrepreneur. That's an entrepreneur. Sorry, you jump out of an airplane, you build your parachute on the way down. It's risky. It feels reckless and stupid, and whatever word you want to put on it. It's just, um, but at the same time, if you're able to sit with yourself and say, I'm going into business, why? I'm doubling down on myself because I trust me, I believe in me more than anything, and I trust my ability to figure it out. And most people that are so hungry to really be successful, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of like, when am I going to find that place to direct all my energy towards? So for us, I know we were looking for it constantly. We're trying to do different things, right? David, how many Saturdays we worked, Sundays, side jobs, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter what came, we were just trying all the time. And the pivotal moments for me was, and I'm going to give a shout out to two people that I really look up to in the industry, and that's Tommy Mello and Ishmael Valdez, because these two people kind of brought me the idea unintentionally. And one of my buddies bought me a book. It was Home Service Millionaire. That was around 2017, 18. Didn't know service time, didn't know the HVAC industry, was just working in insulation sales, attics, crawl spaces. And he bought me this book, and I read it, and it was very hard for me to understand how this is connecting to what I'm doing, because it was so much about SOPs and systems and how to build a business. And in my mind, I was just not there. But going back to 2020, 2021, which is around the time we got into the industry, I heard about the next gen story and how fast they grew. And it was really intriguing for me. And literally about a month after I heard about that story, I saw a podcast for Ishmael and Tommy Mello together. And I was like, I know this logo, I know this person, like, what's going on there? And it was so inspiring. I'm looking at these guys, they're not too far in age from me. Conversation, intellect wise, I'm listening to them, and I'm like, this is not too far from, like, I feel like I can kind of blend to this and do this. And they're talking about 100 employees, 200, 300. I'm like, oh my God, So I remember at that time, we decided to go into the industry. And then afterwards, David was really pushing us to go into Service Titan because he did a demo and he was really impressed. We went into Service Titan, got 2 tickets to go to their first Pantheon event. And I'm going into the Pantheon event, and suddenly the Service Titan reference from the book, Ishmael, Tommy Mello, everything was just blending, along with having a conversation with Leland Smith, a legend in the industry, um, Ken Goodrich, a billionaire in the industry. You talk to these moguls, and literally, I don't think there was any person more motivated than us in that time. It was just so much clarity. So those were the pivotal moments for me, I feel like, that really gave me the fire. That fire sparked in me, and it was going on for about 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years of no sleep, no weekends, I didn't care about anything. This was more important than eating. Literally, it was like, breathing it. So those was for me the biggest ones.
Not sustainable, guys. You gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you gotta go to the rest.
Nah,
But
nah.
Don't exactly do what I did.
man, this is not a joke. For a long time, we
Yeah.
slept very little, and we worked 7 days a week, and we kept pushing extremely hard, and we didn't eat more than
And
one
it's
day.
and it's not for everyone too, because you get very agitated and very short. So there's effect to company culture, relationships, things like that. So that if you pass through that hurdle, like, you're on a different, no, completely different spot.
Yeah, it's just a stage that you have to get through. I wouldn't say that it's sustainable or this was the secret for success. It's just to show the passion that we were on a mission for something, and so everything was kind of like pushed to the side as you're just going about this. I spent last week. I spent the day with Ishmael and Tommy Mello. We went golfing in the Sherwood Country Club. So I was, I spent the day with them. And it was very eye-opening, just seeing how these guys communicate, how they operate. It's always a learning experience. And one thing that I've noticed, uh, both with newer business owners, they're kind of trying to figure out their way, and talking to these guys, and the way that Mike and I are doing business, and Mike touched on that point a little bit. I see a lot of business owners who are really proud of figuring things out on their own. And they take pride in finding the solution and implementing something, and like, I'm going to figure this out on my own, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I was like, that's not the game. You're playing the wrong game. You're playing a very slow game. You're playing a very painful game. And you're sitting with these people, and I understand something that was very similar between them. And they go out and find the person with the best answer out there for anything to this day, for anything that they're implementing in their businesses. They go out, they ask questions, they get the answers, they ask more questions to understand to a deeper level, they go out and they implement. And that's what they do. Or they bring the person into their operation to implement it for them. But that is the real name of the game that we're in. Granted, you got to be creative. AI, is coming in, and technology, and you got to figure out how to be, a good operator. But you don't need to be the person that comes up with the answers for every little thing. And when you said, you guys didn't come from the industry, that's our weakness and our superpower in a way, right? Our weakness is because our employees would take advantage of us at an early stage, and we didn't understand the lingo, and we couldn't hold them accountable to certain metrics and performance or standards of operations or anything. And we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what's the right pay structure. We didn't know what's the right time for an appointment. How do you even book the call? What are the qualifiers on the phone to know that you're booking the right customer? We didn't have any of that, but that was one of the things that led us to go out and ask questions, both internally, our employees, our clients, our, industry leaders, just like the ones we talked about today. That was everything. So if there is one thing that people should continue to do, anybody that's listening to this episode right now, is whatever is your pain point is, you don't need to figure out the answer for it. You just need to go out and ask for the solution. That's all you got to do. It's a lot easier, and you'll be surprised how many people out there will be willing to help. You'll be shocked.
That is definitely true. In the trades, I've seen that everybody's here has this very much abundance mindset of, hey, I'll help you. I'll tell you. I'll send you SOPs in 2 minutes if you just ask, right? It's that mindset. Someone told me a long time ago, smart people figure it out on their own or learn from their own mistakes, and wise people get someone else to help or learn from the mistakes of others.
100%.
So you guys are incredibly wise with the business. And I agree, that is absolutely your superpower. The fact that you haven't been here is absolutely a superpower. It's something that I've seen in my own consulting business. I never worked for a consulting company. And so a lot of people are like, you don't act like a normal consultant. I don't know what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I love the people I serve, and I'm figuring it out. And, there are times where I think, gosh, I should have gone and worked for a big consulting company after college. I'm so glad I didn't,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing where you guys are at. Hey, I've got a question for you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a lot of times everything seems very big and scary and far away from you. Meaning, when you're looking at a big business owner, in your head, it's like, oh my God, it's this big business owner. It's so far from me. It's so big, right? And he's probably a genius, and he probably learned, or he got it from someone, or it was inheritance. There's so many stories that we make up, but we got to remember that a lot of people that build huge businesses, just to put things into perspective, right? The MySpace story. You guys know the MySpace story? The guy built MySpace, sold it for almost $1 billion, and quit it. He quit the business. He went back into photography, which was his real passion. He wasn't necessarily a genius, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you would have gone to school or something, you would have learned something. So it's important to me, because I know so many 20-year-olds that are sitting right now at home, and they're banging their heads on the wall trying to figure out, how do I become a millionaire today? That's how they, because the shortcut, back in the day, it was like, how do I become a millionaire? Point, Nowadays, it's like, how do I become a millionaire today? How can I do this? How can I do that? And
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just say I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
His videos are cool and all, but I love his story. Like everybody wants to be Mr. Beast today and have 300 million followers on YouTube and be almost a billionaire. But what they don't realize is that he spent 7 years grinding 20 hours a day building videos and had no clue what he was doing. But literally that was all that consumed him for 7 years before his first video of counting to 100,000 number by number. I hate counting to 10. He counted to 100,000 on camera before anybody even paid attention to him.
Because Ryan, no one wants to do there's no flashiness or fun or beauty in building your business. And you have to be so um I'll tell you a sad moment in our early career, and then we'll jump into the next question. This is how thick skin you need to have. We have a friend of ours. He's in California, but not in San Francisco Bay Area. And this guy, very wealthy at the time. And I remember when we just started our business, we were renting this office space, leasing this office space. It was in almost a junkyard. It was like a really bad area. I don't know, David, if you remember the first office we had. It was like a little cubicle, and we rented it because it had the ability for warehouse spaces, and we knew we were going to grow fast, so you can kind of rent and kind of jump from one to the next. It's called ready spaces. And I brought the guy in because I wanted to show him that I'm starting my own business. I was super proud. I had a desk and a laptop. There was like an iMac, and I was super proud of that. I had a phone, the secretary phone, whatever I saw in movies. I was like, let's do that. And I brought the guy in to sit and, kind of just sit with me in my office to chill. My first office ever. And he was like, what is this disgusting place? What are we doing here? And I'm like, well, it's my business. I'm starting a business. And the guy was like, okay, can we go grab lunch? Like, didn't care, wasn't impressed, obviously not that good of a friend. It was kind of like a person that, and now, I learned to even stay away from these type of people that, only there for you for your highs. But point of the story being is it's not interesting, it's not cool, and it's not sexy to put your head down and do the work and miss out on parties and holidays and relationships that you lose along the way with friends or individual others. And people just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's behind every success story, whether if it's the Tommy Mello, the MySpace, the guy that you're talking about right now, Mr. Beast, and all these different people. There's not even a single one of them, not even a single one that I can say did not put their head down and worked so hard. The thing is, though, people only saw them in videos and their faces out there after the fact.
Yeah.
And also, you kind of go with the flow. You don't want to reminisce, and no one wants to. Everyone can tell the sad story, right? You don't want to tell the sad story. You want to focus on the success. So people kind of forget that. Even for us right now, you asked us to go back to hard days that we've had. We can dig in our memory and come up with some insane stories and stuff that we've been through, but you kind of move and you forget. So it is a lot about putting your head down for years until you get that one pivotal moment that just changes everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been said that everybody's an overnight success after 15 years of determination, grit, hard work, right?
You got to be right once. You got to be right once. Mark Cuban.
Yeah. And you know what? We create our own luck. I don't believe in luck. I think some people rolled the genetic lottery and were born into the right family of multimillionaires that gave them a leg up. But other than that, we got to go figure it out on our own. One of the biggest challenges that I see for small business owners, and this is across all industries, this is not just in the trades, but two of the main reasons that small businesses go under. So SBA puts out a list of the most challenging things that happen in a small business. And two of them that happen is, one, we get too much work and we drown and our customer service goes to hell and nobody wants to work with us anymore. But the other one is we don't charge enough. And that's the one I want to talk about with you guys for a second. I know a lot of contractors that think, oh my gosh, if I raise my prices, everybody's going to leave. No one's going to stick around. I'm not going to have any business if I raise my prices. And I think with what's happened in the last couple of years, there are a lot of contractors out there struggling with that.
I'm going to share.
And just so you would know, there's the answer to that, and it's so the other direction.
I'm going to
Tell us your story.
Go, David.
Talking about pivotal moments. So Mike and I went to the Pantheon at 2022. We were just starting out, right? It was kind of like a middle of the year. So we're about 1 year in business at a time. And we were charging close to nothing, trying to be competitive. In our industry, we were a small, six team members, very young. And we had a couple of sales guys. And we used to sell furnaces for like $5,000-$6,000 at a time, competing with those mom and pop, chuck in the truck kind of people. We went to the Pantheon and we heard Ishmael keep talking about, you got to raise your prices, you got to raise your prices, you got to raise your prices. We didn't understand it at the time, right?
Mm.
And the whole idea of raising your prices is that it creates a certain cycle within your business that is pushing the company to growth and creates a win-win-win situation for the company, the employee, and the customer. And so when you do raise your price, and we're going to talk about what happened when we did that in a second. When you do raise your prices, all of a sudden you have the ability to pay more than what those mom and pop shop are paying for the quality of individuals that they're attracting into their businesses, because B players will work with B players. A players don't work with B players.
Mm-hmm.
A player in the industry wants to work under a leader who is a B player, right? That is not doing right by the customer, that is not picking up the phone, that is not there when something didn't go right, or when there is an issue with the equipment, or on Christmas night, one of your client system is not working. Are you going to be there? So those are the businesses that can't provide those services to their people, right? So when you charge right, you get to pay right, you get to give certain benefits to your employees, then you attract the right people. Those people are going to deliver a much better service to the homeowner, to your client. That client will be willing to pay for that peace of mind, for those guarantees, for the quality of service that you're providing them, for the emergency services that you can actually be there for them when they need you. These are the pain points. It's not when everything goes fine. It's the moment that you had an issue with any service provider that is the test. Dude, I had to spend last month I had to call Best Buy and they put me on the phone for 2 hours. For 2 hours I was on the phone. I'm never buying from this company ever again. I'll be willing to pay a lot more to not go through that experience again. That's what people are scared of, right? That's where they minimize the risk. Now, here's what happened. We told ourselves, well, what happens if we increase our prices? Well, the first concern is you're going to lose customers. We're going to lose some of our customers. So how's that going to work? So we sat with our sales team and we asked that question. I was like, hey guys, if you sell something right now, let's say your average ticket is $12,000, all right? And out of 10 customers that you sold the project to, let's say you met with 20 customers and you sold 10 projects and your average ticket was $12,000. So you're at 50% conversion rate. Your average ticket is $12,000. So far, so good. You sold 10 projects. How much is it total? That's
120.
We're with $120,000. So I asked him a question. What would have happened? How many of those clients went with you because they really liked you and they liked your company? And how many of them reached out to you just because they wanted the lowest price possible? Essentially, I'm asking, how many of those 10 clients would you lose if you were to change your price from $12,000 to $20,000 and give them all of those extra benefits? What would happen then? So, well, David, I'm going to lose at least 40% of my clients. So instead of selling 10 projects, I'm going to be selling 6 now. I'm going to lose 4 clients. Well, amazing. So now you have 6 clients at $20,000. You're at $120,000. So you ended up with the same end result, but you can be more profitable and those clients can get a much better experience right now. We were scared. Our conversion rate at the time, Mike, I don't know if you remember that. Our conversion rate before we did this was 15 to 20%. That's what we were on at the time. Do you remember what happened when we increased our prices?
Yeah, it went up.
It went up. Ryan, we thought our conversion rate was going to go down. We were mentally prepared for a deep dive of our conversion rate. Our conversion rate jumped from 15, 20% to 30 to 40% in a matter of a month or two.
Yeah, a lot of clients were thinking the service was low quality and that's why the price was so low. So once you increase the price a little bit, they figured there's a little bit of quality there.
Then
But
go ahead.
yeah, all in all, when it comes to price increases, there's a few things that people need because it's not just about raise your pricing. It's first of all, have a price book. So I think that's the first thing. People need to have a price book, based on tonnage, based on whatever, depending on the industry. Plumbing HVAC is pretty straightforward. You can get it from ServiceLine. They already have packages and all that. But when it comes to pricing, just make sure that you have a price book, and the way to build your pricing is based on how much profit you want to get. And that's the most important thing, because it's not just about, let me figure out what's the industry standard for a furnace swap. Okay, let's go a little bit above, let's stay there, let's go below. That's not how it works. That's how amateurs work, and that's how we did it in the beginning. How it really should work is, what's your overhead expenses, the office space, the insurances, the vehicles, all the stuff that you're going to pay every month anyways. And then afterwards, you figure out your cost of goods sold, which are going to be your COGS, and that's going to be the equipment, the material, everything that goes out, labor, all of that. Things that COGS is essentially based, the things that you would pay only because this job is happening. And once you figure all that out, including permit fees or however it is, every expense that could potentially go into it, then you figure out how much you actually want to make. So for us, if we're aiming for 5%, 10%, 15% profit, for example, we're going to build and reverse engineer the entire formula by making sure that that's going to be the end result. And that determines our pricing. Once we start from there, afterwards, you can go in and, increase your pricing. And you just got to monitor and be very flexible with it. If your conversion rate is 15%, might as well raise your pricing because you're doing horrible. If you're in the HVAC industry, like if you're doing 50%, something is wrong. Now, if you're doing 25, 35% and you're too scared to increase your pricing, vendors just increased their pricing. Tariff just came in, right? Are you increasing that? Some people are not even thinking about it. Some people are that are not on ServiceTime, because on ServiceTime, one button click and all my pricing went up, right? It's so easy. It's a bulk action. So I think for us, for example, what we do every time there's a vendor increase or something, we basically go in and adjust the pricing if it makes sense. If we have great month that we're doing in sales, that's another great opportunity to increase your pricing. If you're too scared to increase it too much and you're selling an air conditioner for $12,000, can you increase it by $300? What's $300 from 1,200? That's nothing, right? That's not too much. I really don't think it's going to affect anything. So people just need to start small. And the moment that you see that there's some sort of massive reaction from your sales team, like a negative, response, sure, adjust a little bit, push back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the size of your company, sometimes your sales team is going to push, like, no, we're not going to sell. I don't know what culture you work in, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And I love what you said, David, the way you started that, is you said B players or A players don't want to play for a B team. And if you're the low price guy, you're the low margin guy, you can only afford B and C quality stuff. You've probably got older trucks, older equipment.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not investing in ServiceTitan. You're not playing like an A team. And that keeps the best players from coming in. And I will tell you, being a consumer, being a homeowner, dealing with contractors, I will pay more for the guy to show up on time, do a good job, and leave. Even though he's doing the same work that somebody else is, I'll pay more if he just answers his phone and shows up.
Yeah,
Well,
the little thing.
also, that's something with the sales. Sorry, David, I think I cut you off. One of the things that's also for the sales guys, sometimes we give them the training, and when they sit in front of a customer and they're like, you guys are giving me 15,000, this other company is giving me, 12,000 or 11,000. Well, not really. They're giving you 22 or they're giving you $24,000, because if you're going to have to redo this whole thing all over again, which one is cheaper? So it's important too. The headache, having to redo it all over again, warranty calls. And we all know we're smart. All of us are consumers here too. We know that you're never going to be treated as good, unfortunately, than right before they sold you. Right? That's the moment where you're the beautiful customer and they love you and they'll give you cookies and everything. Once the check hits the bank, try to get a hold of them. They're giving that attention to someone else. And that's one of the things that are guiding us here at Trio. We want to make sure that customer service is above all. Price increases, all these different things go afterwards. Customer service is above everything. Customer experience has to be amazing. And all these things will slowly follow. And kind of going back to what we said earlier, go to a company, have a little shop tour, call them on the phone, see the experience, go online on Yelp, see how they put their pictures up, Google, see how these big guys are doing it, and just copy paste it.
Yeah.
Copy paste it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on anything.
Our focus is always on the people side, and how do you attract the best techs and how do you get them to notice you? Because the best techs aren't going to be on Indeed. They got to know who you are. They've got to recognize the brand and everything else.
Top
Go to the
performers
big
have a
company.
job.
Yeah, but go to the big companies and see what they're doing and go, oh, if Tommy Mello is recruiting the best techs and he's doing X, Y, and Z, maybe I should do X, Y, and Z too. If Michael and David are growing their company that fast, maybe I should look. And this goes back to what you guys talked about earlier. You go to these conferences, you look for the people who have been there and done it, and you look for them to guide you. You call them, you ask them questions. I mean, it's so simple in what you guys are saying, but there's so much brilliance locked up in just the last 30 minutes of hearing from you guys. I've got so many more questions. We're going to do a second one if that's okay with you guys. I want to do another show with you guys.
Let's do it.
You guys have so much knowledge and you've been there and it's amazing. And just the little bit that you've shared today with our listeners, I mean, there's just so much gold in this episode. How do people learn more about you? How do they reach out and say, hey, David, you said, reach out to someone. How do they do that? How can they learn from you guys?
So you can always hit us up on LinkedIn. You can even, email us. So our emails are pretty simple. It's my first name, David, at trioheatingandair.com. And the same thing for Mike. It's going to be Michael at trioheatingandair.com. We have a lot of companies that are coming in for shop tours, sitting down with our managers. We are an open book. It is whatever it is that you need. You want to know how we pay our people. You want to know what's our strategy for recruiting, what processes and systems we implemented to make sure those things are on autopilot for our company so that growth is consistent. If it's about budget, if it's about how to build a price book, it's whatever you guys need. We'll be here to support the industry the same way that this industry has been good for us.
Yeah, and we're not charging for any of these things.
Right.
You guys are amazing entrepreneurs, amazing mentors, amazing human beings. So keep up what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for all of the nuggets you shared with our listeners today. And I genuinely mean it. We're going to do another one of these in a few months, and we're going to give even more value to our listeners. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I've really enjoyed it.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.